Welcome to That Davis Show. I am Kenneth Davis. Please follow me at That's Davis. Always follow executive producer of everything on this side, Ryan Bukovetsky at Ryan B. Ski and Ryan B. Ski 1. We have a pretty interesting show. Some great topics that Ryan picked up. If you can bring back any TV series, which TV show would you choose to bring back and why? That's first part of this question. Then Ryan, you had a question towards the end of the show that we're going to go over. And what was that again?
Basically wanted to kind of like, if you will, leak off of this question. If you could fix a TV show, let's say there was a bad season or they introduced a character and something about a show that you loved and all of a sudden didn't love so much, what would you put there and what would you fix about it?
Gotta add another one. All right. So I'm ready. I'm ready to dive fully in. Do you start? Give me your first show, if you could bring it back, and why.
I'm gonna go Watchmen for the first one.
Wow, that's a great one.
I really enjoyed that first season. I think we were all kind of talking about. We obviously did the show recapping each episode with D back in the old iteration, but the showrunner, I guess, dropped off, so now the project is completely shelved, and we were kind of wondering if it was going to be a season 2, and it looked like for sure season 2. Now just dead in the water. And Watchmen to me has always been kind of one of those, what is that called again? It's not a comic book, right? It's the graphic novel.
Yeah.
It's always been one that's really fascinating me. I really liked the movie, even though the movie wasn't great in my opinion, but I liked it. I thought the show was much better, and Watchmen fits better as a show than a movie. So to see what they did and how they did it, I thought was great. I wanted them to continue on that path, and unfortunately, it looks like that one's shelved. So that would probably be my first one right off the bat. I really like Watchmen.
That's a great one. See, my only issue with that is some things are so perfect. And because we all know that they're probably going to come back for a cash grab situation, not to say that it won't be quality, but sometimes a sequel can't be as good as the initial thing. Like you, and I agree with you, the show was better than the movie, right? And Regina King killed it. You know what I'm saying? Like it was Don Johnson, the whole cast was terrific.
I love Don Johnson. I don't know what it is about that dude.
Yeah, pedophile Don. But so stuff like that one was dope. I'll give you that one. My only fear is, would it be held to the same standard? I remember thinking after the second season of the Dave Chappelle Show that it should go off, because I was like, it can't stay this. You can't hit so consistently. You know what I'm saying? And also sometimes it was like, I mean, that seems that we know that Dave was like, there was always the part of that show that was like, I don't know if everyone should be seeing this. You know what I'm saying? There was always, that was the bad side of the Chappelle Show. That was some of that stuff should have been in-house. And I mean, we don't have a carrier that only, like how now on Twitter and on Instagram, you can only post stuff that your close friends just can see. That's what we needed for the Chappelle Show when it comes to some of the black content. Was like we only need to be laughing at that rather than. I'm happy I wasn't like in high school when that was out. With some with people taking liberties to repeat things on that show that they had no business repeating, because I would have been getting into fights. So that was a downside of that show. And Dave, shining a light on stuff you shouldn't have shined a light on just for the sake of trying to humor and capital. So that's my feeling on the Watchmen. Watchmen's it was so great. It's like my short term, my memory is trash. So like that one totally escaped my mind, and I forgot just how great that series was. And again, always HBO makes it worth your while paying for it.
Well, you bring up a great point, and maybe this is something we can get into at some point in this episode. It's really tough to balance when you should leave something as is versus stretch it out and try to maybe get as much as you can from it. I always go back to True Detective season 1 with Matthew McConaughey and
definitely
Woody Harrelson. That
I didn't even
is,
finish season 2. I didn't even finish season 2.
yeah. Honestly, you can forget all the other seasons. 3 is all right. 2 is just
Yeah, I think I
trash.
watched. I feel like I watched the Maher. I feel like I watched some of his. Yeah, I definitely watched some of his.
Like 3 is fine. 2 at times is fine, but that first season might be the
It was
most
so good.
perfect
It
season
was
of television.
totally.
And so much of me wants it to come back and be again, but the other part of me is just like, it won't be as good. It'll
Right.
ruin it somewhat. It won't be as perfect. Like, you should just accept and enjoy what it is, how it is. But man, sometimes it's tough, especially when you're looking for new things to watch and you're just seeing a bunch of crap out there.
Right. Totally.
Hit me
Just
with one of yours.
well, I'll say there's something that's still good right now. Man, The Boys.
The Boys. I
The
still
Boys
never
is
started that one.
wow, you're disappointing yourself by not watching The Boys, dog.
Okay.
The Boys is still doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's The Boys. So anyway, here goes my first one, and this one's an earnest one. I really feel like I wish this would come back, and part of the reason I wish it would come back, I feel like the people involved in the show could create some more magic because so many of them have been heavy hitters. I wish, and this is my opinion, and I know some other people would choose Martin. Some people may choose Living Single. I wish for me the best series that Fox ever had will come back on air, and that's In Living Color. Because you have all the Wayans brothers, you have Jim Carrey, you have Jamie Foxx, you know what I'm saying? You could have an appearance from J-Lo, you have Tommy Davidson. You just have so many people that
Oh
are
man,
still
imagine the potential guest list that they would have
right.
nowadays.
Just so many people that are still funny. And I'm forgetting so many of the people that are on that show. But some of those people, I mean, those people are still hilarious today. And think about like just the content of stuff that's going out now that they can make fun of and stuff like that. I wish that if anything could come back, In Living Color could come back
That's a
because
good one.
it was hilarious. It definitely pushed the boundaries. So that one I think would be the one if it can come because kind of, and not to say to be as good as initially, but I think it could perhaps be better in some ways, but not just totally overall better. But I think those people are talented enough to make it funny and just to have that ensemble. You know, like that's a heavy hitting ensemble right there.
Yes,
You
it
know what I'm
is.
saying? Just to have that ensemble back together, pushing each other. You know what I'm saying? Like I think it could be special, even if they only did like 6 episodes. You know what I'm saying? Something like just a short run. I think, especially, I think
That
it would
sounds
fit,
really interesting. Like,
and I think
I
it
don't
would
know.
benefit them to be like just to know you only got this, so only the cream is really going to get up there or whatever. But I think it could benefit them.
I wonder who has the rights, but you would think, why not they all just
Fox, because
get.
remember, it was a big thing happened because they went to syndication earlier than they wanted to, and they kicked Keenan off the show. So I think Fox still probably has the rights to In Living Color. But
Because I would think
wish it was
like that would make a lot of sense for them to all just producer credit revive type thing. You could create a new cast as well as be a part of it. It can be as much or as little as they want it to be, and with how much it's talked about, you would think it would just be instant success if they slap that logo right on something. It could be just like a Netflix original or something like that.
Do you watch Atlanta?
I saw the first couple seasons. I need to catch up.
So this season, they have episodes when none of the cast is in it, right? Like maybe every other episode or every 2 episodes, and you can just see them just give. It's just a storyline about an individual that we're just meeting, basically, and they're good. Just to go along with what you're saying as far as having a new cast, and like just you don't always have to do it where Jim Carrey and Damon Wayans has. You could just do it with new people and just give your thoughts and their thoughts and collaborate or whatever.
Maybe you challenge Saturday Night Live a little bit.
Maybe
different
so.
show. You could have multiple guests, different kinds of skits in terms of just sketch comedy for an hour. I think there's a winning idea right there. I'm surprised they haven't done something to revive it.
Probably has to do with getting Keenan Ivory Wayans on board to something, and also just with Jim Carrey. I think he would do it, but I mean that's Jim Carrey. You know what I'm saying? I mean that's Jamie Foxx. You know, like
Mhm.
so these people have went on
That's
to
why I'm thinking just a producer credit, and then hey, if you want to get in on something, let's say one of their friends is guest of the show. They do that kind of stuff all the time with Saturday Night Live alums, kind of thing.
yeah,
Like,
right,
get in on there.
right. So all right, now give me your next one.
So this question kind of originally started as canceled TV shows, so that's where my mind went for this next one. Maybe not a super great show. It was more of a guilty pleasure, but especially how it ended. It ended on such a dramatic cliffhanger for the show that it sticks out to me. I don't know if you ever watched it, but it was the Fox show, The Last Man on Earth.
No, I may have seen a little bit of it.
So more of a guilty pleasure show, but I thought it was decently funny. And basically, how the show goes is you get more and more that it started as he's the last man, but clearly there's more people alive, and they actually kind of bring in real life scenarios for trying to survive the being the last people alive. One of those is they had to leave actually America because based on nuclear power plants, once because they're not being tended to, all the
Yeah.
radiation happens. America is basically just not livable. So they had to go somewhere else where they could live. And then it just so happened that at the end there was an army of people that somehow raise up from just a very peculiar circumstance, and that's where the show ends. Right
Hmm.
on that kind of note.
Okay.
So that's one of those ones where I'm like, oh, I don't know if I'm dying for this show, but I would love to know how they intended to end this based on this set of circumstance.
All right. So one just popped in my head. This isn't my one. This is just a honorable mention. We watched the new Bobby Brown show like a week ago, and I knew I didn't want to watch it because Whitney wasn't going to be there, right? And if you ever watched the old series Being Bobby Brown, which kind of is the reason they end up getting divorced, because according to the story, Whitney's mother, Cece Houston, basically, I believe maybe when Whitney was straight, had her watch the show and was like, "Do you see what you were doing on the show?" So the best part, and I hate to say this because you don't want to disrespect the dead, but the best parts would be where Bobby's out doing something, the camera's all on Bobby, and you're like, "Where's Whitney?" And you're like, "Oh, it's coming." And 10 minutes later, here comes Whitney, seemingly happy, and all the funniness was about to take place or whatever, because she got whatever she needed or whatever, and the show was just funny. As you know, it was sad though. It was a sad look too, but it was a funny show. I'm not saying that like to take shots at anybody, but but anyway, this is my show, and it just came to mind. I would want them, and they would it have to be the ages they are now, to bring back Cheers, right? Because I would love to see how Sam would be working at this bar in his late 70s, right?
Hitting
How
on a
all of these
70-year-old woman coming through.
right, all the cirrhosis of the liver that all these barflies would have, and like the impact of drinking the way they were drinking on their
Right.
bodies,
Right.
right? Also, just the times to see like how they would have how they felt about everything that's going on in like the last 5 years here, and what side they would be. Like, I would love to see that. Right, and it just popped in my head when you gave me this. I was just thinking, I was like, you know what? I would look, because it would be so cool from the point of like Frasier, right? Just to think, like, imagine Frasier being in there, and I mean, just like their political views and how opposing some people may feel,
Right.
including myself.
Right.
I would. It would just be so interesting. I mean, a show where I know it's Boston, so it may be apropos, but where were the black people at, right? Because nobody wants to come in for a drink at Sam's. Like, I mean, it's like, man, that's Sam's. You know, they don't have us down there at Sam's, right?
Right.
Like,
Right.
I would just, it would be like, it would be interesting. And I just came up with this, but that one would kind of be a show, because I would love to see the impact of that lifestyle on those people's bodies 30 years later.
I think that's a great idea. I love stuff like that where you take something where you have a previous, because isn't that Karate Kid TV show basically similar to this, where it's living in nowadays, everything's changed, them having to like grow up, but you still hold on to the things that the karate, the fighting, the training, that aspect of it is still consistent, but so much of everything else has changed, but you're dropping these characters that were probably more 2D than 3D in a 3D world. I always find that interesting. I think that's, you could say that about probably Seinfeld, maybe even Friends, some of this stuff.
Seinfeld's on my list for your other question.
Oh, okay. Okay. Should we go there?
Yeah, go right
ahead. Is that the segue?
Yes,
so if you could fix something about a show, the first, like a season, character, something about it happens that you just don't like and it changes your mood on that show, what is it? What's the show, obviously, but what is it that ruined it and how would you fix it?
Well, I mean, you know what it is for me. And it would be, of course, Michael Richardson not having that utter effing breakdown of racism and saying the N-word repeatedly at that stand-up, because it makes it difficult for me to watch the show that at one point was my favorite show of all time, and that was Seinfeld. And I always say, anytime that door opens and he slides into the room, I envision him saying the N-word, and I cannot watch fucking Seinfeld. Like, as some people that can compartmentalize better than I can, I don't feel the need to. All right, just because I want to watch. It's like, nah, fuck it. You know what I'm saying? Like, once, like, nah, it's like that comes with it. Right? Like, you rolled this character to prominence, and just because I like the show, no, that character was a big part of the show. You just don't turn like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I would really like to hear their thoughts. And I mean, I'm sure I can't remember. I know they all caped for him in some fashion, but said he was wrong. But you know, he had to have some off-putting jokes on set, at least from time to time.
You would think,
because you just don't do that. All right, you just don't do that. That's part of you. You know what I'm saying? Especially when we're talking about you were doing your job. Part of your job is getting heckled. You know what I'm saying? Like, this wasn't a situation where it's like you're working, you're working at a grocery store and you're the grocery bag person, and a person is harassing you and you flip off because you're not used to being harassed. No, you're a comedian. You know what I'm saying? You're used to being agitated while you're trying to convey your craft. So it would be Seinfeld, and I mean, it would be, I don't know if they could do the show without Kramer. I don't know if anybody else could be Kramer. I don't think so. But because I mean, it's just like you stop and then it's just I can't. So that would probably be one of mine's. Would be Seinfeld to somehow take away Michael Richardson like ruining the show for me. Because I could never enjoy the show like I used to make my dad watch that show with me, and he ended up enjoying it. It was at one point, it was my, and I fell into it through syndication, but it was still on, so I was watching the real ones too. So that one will probably be one of mine. What's one of yours?
That's a good one. I definitely, same thing with the Seinfeld. It kind of just fell off. It used to be top show until some of that stuff. I think Game of Thrones has to be up there.
Took another one of mine.
Dave and Dave payout that they took to just bail on that show. Let just end it. I think one time we had the hypothetical. I'm not sure if we use it or not, but being a fly on the wall. I want to be a fly on that wall when they're pitching what they're going to do for the next season. Because it's got to start with, hey, fellas, it's been a great run. It's about time we end this shit real quick here. You don't want to pay these actors that much extra, right? We can wrap this up real quick. All we got to do is just do everything the opposite of what we've been doing. Let's just not care how characters act or what they've shown to this point in terms of values and how they generally act in this world. Let's just cut those off. Any storylines we were developing, let's just cut those off. We'll just cut everything off at the top. And we'll just, whatever survives, that'll be it.
Well, this kind of connects with the Seinfeld thing, too.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not forget that what they were planning to produce next, a different project for HBO, was a series about what happened if the Confederacy had won the Civil War. And finally, someone had to tell them, this isn't a great idea. Remember that thing was green lighted, basically, right? And I remember first, like, what the fuck, right? Like, what? Like,
they try to make a Handmaid's Tale for like.
Do you think they will for real? Do you think? And this is a country that started 2 world wars and committed a Holocaust. So I'm not trying to be disrespectful. Do you think the Germans have a what happened if Adolf Hitler won series? Never in the day would they do one of those. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure how it seems, how they are very sensitive about the atrocities they committed in the past, right? That they have one of those out there. And we're sitting here to let you know also how we feel about black people. Like, yo, let's do it if the Confederacy won. Because we know one of the main things is going to be, they going to be on my ass. Right? Yes. Like, think about this is what you're thinking about. And also, the crazy thing is this. Think about how the times changed and how racism became emboldened. That show would have been out when all of this Karen and MAGA mess was popping, telling you to be as outwardly racist as you please. And you would have had, dog, they would have been running that shit at the down at the Millennium Park on the big screen. I'm joking. But I'm just saying, like, just think that, like, that's part of the reason Game of Thrones sucked. Because these guys' mind had moved on to wanting to show you had Robert E. Lee got it right, basically. Yeah, right.
He's president.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I mean. Wow. All right. Just like, wow, bro. Wow. The insensitivity of some people is ridiculous. I mean, but it also just lets you know how they truly feel. You know what I'm saying? Like, just like I was saying about the Dave Chappelle thing, like, Dave Chappelle was funny, but there's things he shouldn't have touched on, period, because you were giving them to people to use as weapons, basically, right? And that's basically what these cats was going to be doing with this show. And I mean, if they were going to do it to the HBO standard, which is to be somewhat raw and naked and to try to give you the true part of it.
Get you to really react.
Right. They would have really had to do some bad stuff to people that look like me. And it's never the time for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that when you say that stirs that part in my mind too.
Yeah, it's just the cash grab. And that show was, like you said with Seinfeld, it was a top 5 show to me, maybe even up there as like number 1 for me.
It was number 1.
It was so perfect.
At one point, this was my favorite show, period. At one point, hands down, I believe that this was the best show I had watched, sitcom, comedy, whatever, on television. It was there. Like, I mean, I would still put now, and luckily, we've had Curb to kind of take over from that, you know, and take it to a different place. Like I love Curb Your Enthusiasm. You know, we've loved it. I mean, we've loved it for 15, 20 years or whatever. But you have Curb, which is still in the vein, since Larry David was a writer on Seinfeld. It's still in the vein of a lot of Seinfeld. It has off-putting jokes, but it's hilarious. It's well done. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
I love Curb. You know what I'm saying? At one point, that was one of my favorites. That was my favorite show. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if I have a favorite show right now. I was watching. I'm going to tell you what, though. Michael Shea. He had one of the. Do you watch the Michael Shea show? You have to watch this. I don't want you to just watch part of this season. He has this skit about this sensei, this black sensei. I don't know if his name is Larry something or whatever, right? But the dude is like, he comes on, it's a commercial, and he's like, you know, white lady comes into my dojo, and she was like, I'm pregnant. And I'm like, what does that have to do with me? And he said, dojo wasn't doing too well. She says, I want to pay you to kick me. And he said, what? And she said, yeah, I want to pay you to kick me. And they do a reenactment of him kicking the lady in the stomach. And she paid me $40. So the joke is, because abortion could be banned, that now these women are going to this dojo and they have this. No, this one part, he slide kicks this. He comes out of nowhere, slide kicks this pregnant lady in the belly, and it's like the joke is so funny on so many different levels because in reality, taking away women's rights, the kind of danger you're putting them in by taking away something that could keep them alive. You know what I'm saying? Where you know, having legal abortions or whatever. It just hits on so many. It's the irony of this black sensei, right? It's just, dude, it's hilarious. It was, dog. We laughed so fucking hard because we wasn't expecting it, right? We laughed so fucking hard at this. By all means, I think is the funniest. That part was the funniest thing I saw this year, right? It was fucking hilarious, dog. You have to go see this clip. Just put in Michael Shea, and I think his name was Larry. I believe his name was Larry. And just
Larry
watch
the Sensei.
Go to YouTube. Just go to Michael Shea Sensei. But go to YouTube and just watch that. It was hilarious.
Ooh, I'm gonna check that out.
Check that out. It was that he's doing great work. Michael Shea. Everybody, of course, you should all know, a writer for Saturday Night Live, also one of the hosts of Weekend Update. His show is cold. That dog, he killed with that dog. He killed.
I gotta see this.
So in this episode, he gets he's on the L, right? Some dude gets mugged and on the subway, and he's walking. He's like, nobody's gonna help him. Nobody's gonna help him. And he helps the dude up. Now, he gets mugged by two women. He helps the dude up, and the dude says something homophobic about the women. And first off, so the people around, it's a woman and a man, a black man and a white lady. And he's like, you're not going to do anything? And they're like, no. And then he asks the black dude, like, they ain't got nothing to do with me. So when he helps the dude up and the dude says something homophobic, they like, wait, you cool with that? And then the black dude's like, or the white one's like, yeah, that's your father. And then the homeless dude is like, yeah, you are my son. So then they're like, wait, ain't you Michael Shea? So it ends up, dude says something else homophobic, right? And they record it, and it comes off like Michael Shea is okay with this homophobic slander that this homeless gentleman is saying, that people are saying that this is his dad, and the dude keeps going along with it. So he's like, whatever, no big deal. And Keenan's on the episode, and Keenan tells him, like, listen, you better get on top of this in 2 hours or it's a wrap, right? And he was like, you're gonna be excommunicado, and I'm not gonna fuck with you no more, right? Then tells him to get the fuck away from me. He's like, man, get the fuck out of here, man, because I can't be seen with you. But he gives him a coin, and the coin, he goes to like he gets this coin, and he goes to a comedy club that's ran by Dave Attell, right? And he gives Dave Attell the coin. Dave Attell sends him to meet somebody at this excommunicado place, and he has to sit down with someone that's acting as their Bill Cosby. So it's just the show. It's funny as you know. It's hilarious, but it has that clip. But yeah, check out. I don't want to give too much of it because I gave away a ton. But I shout out to Michael Shea with that one. That one, that was gold. That was comedy gold, to say the least.
Nice. Okay. Quick question. Any interest in the Better Call Saul series, as that's going to be wrapped up? Breaking Bad, Dunzo?
I have to go back and watch Breaking Bad.
Okay. Yeah, I'm like ready to end it, to be done with it. The Breaking Bad series.
I have to go back and watch Breaking. I know Breaking Bad was supposedly one of the best series ever. I didn't watch it. I have to go back. I've said I would go back and watch that before.
Honestly, that's a good thing to just like let Better Call Saul finish, especially if you're like at home, rainy days, sick. That's one of those shows you could just kill
Now, let me ask you this. Should I, since Better Call Saul is a prequel, should I watch that before watching Breaking Bad?
I guess I have to finish it first.
Okay.
Right now, I would say you would be totally fine watching it first.
Okay.
Definitely, though, I guess one thing you'd have to keep in mind, they introduce characters in both Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad, but how they introduce them is obviously it's the shock factor in Breaking Bad, and a lot of times it's getting the extra flavor or more depth on that character in Better Call Saul. So getting that first might ruin some of the effects, but It's I don't think it really matters too much. You just need to
All
watch
right.
it. That's all that matters.
So I got another one, and it goes along with your Game of Thrones. Lost.
Oh
At
yeah,
least Game of
that's
Thrones.
a
Game of
good one.
Thrones may have had like a dull season or two before the last season, which was trash. Lost went bad like by season 3 or 4, where it was like
Yeah, I was
when
gonna
ABC
say
had to
that
be
too.
like, wait, y'all only got this much time because you keep making new storylines. They didn't answer damn near nothing. I still don't know who the smoke monster was, right? I still don't know what the castle was about that they showed us from the past. It was so many things they didn't tell us nothing about. All we know is that maybe they was in purgatory. Like they didn't give us jack shit, right? For all the different stuff that they ran through it, they didn't answer nothing. You know what I'm saying? At least Game of Thrones was lazy with their answering it. You know what I'm saying? Like, but these rules and like that'll be the equivalent of Game of Thrones, right? How could I? They look.
That's like the equivalent. You go to Grandpa on the deck who's telling you this great story, and he falls asleep, and you can't wake him up anymore, and you just have to move on.
It'd be like the Ice King or whatever his name was. It'd be like that they never took him out. That they ended the show and he has to
didn't that happen anyways?
But no, they took him out. They got him. But it'll be like that. That part didn't like. Let's just say they didn't say anything else about them invading, right? Like
the dragon breaks through the ice wall and then we never see him again.
That's the last we hear about it, right? That's it, right? Like, and they end the show. They still pick who's gonna be king, but they don't say anything else about the fact that the Ice King broke through the enchanted ice wall, right? They don't do any of that shit. That's the equivalent of what Lost did. They didn't answer nothing. It was like, whatever. It's like, no, dude, what was that? Like, oh my God, Lost. How could you do? Like,
I love how you said that too. Like, I remember being all about Lost, especially the first couple seasons. Then towards the end of 3, I'm like, okay, I'm still really into it, but I'm a little concerned. And then 4, I'm just like, I'm out. See you later.
Dude, we got into it. We binge watched the first season and a half, maybe I feel like, maybe 2, because we didn't watch it at the start. So we're watching it, and this is back when you got this is back when like Netflix would send you the stuff through the mail.
Yeah,
right? Like
the
back
the mail.
Yeah. Right. So we get our new one or whatever, and just loved it. And then it got to be like, what the hell are they doing? Right? Like, how many new storylines? Like, how many different ways are you going to try to come up with what this could be? It's like, dog, you got to put a button on 80 to 90% of that, right? You cannot leave all. They put a button on like 40% maybe. All right, that was wild how they did that one right there, man.
I'm too scared to finish the rest. Like I've always said, one day I'll finish the rest.
You're good. You don't look. Listen, I will not tell anybody now. I would never tell anybody, man, you know what you should watch? Game of Thrones. I would never tell someone.
I would
never. And that used to be my show. I would never tell anyone to watch that show with how that last season went. It's not. And I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna watch the prequel. I'm gonna let you know right now. I'm watching it. I'm watching it. I like the abuse, but I'm all in. So Lost was mine. I only got one more. And it's a funny one. Do you have another?
Hit me. No, hit me.
I want to know if somebody in the show, you part of your question, if you could switch somebody back, or when a character either was added or changed, or perhaps the person acting like light skin Viv, something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would want to know what Family Matters would have been like if Judy would have came back downstairs from her room. So I don't know if you ever remember Family Matters, the TV show with Urkel.
I do. I don't really remember Judy, though.
See, that's the problem, because by the time you probably start watching it, she went upstairs. So Judy was the youngest sister. So it was, the family had a son and 2 daughters, right?
Mm-hmm.
The daughter that Urkel was already going after, the son that had to, as an adult, has had a real different lifestyle or whatever with the person he's dated and married or whatever. I won't enter into any of that. But they had a youngest daughter, a sassy young lady named Judy, who was in Tevin Campbell's first video when back in the days, we'd be like, damn, Judy in Tevin Campbell's video. Anyway, but Judy, and this is how they ended the character. One day, Judy just went up to her room and they wrote her ass off the show. Right? They wrote her. I think that
get to your room.
Right. I think she made a hit on some hard times or whatever after, but they just sent her upstairs. I will want to know what would the show would have been like if Judy was able to come back downstairs. That was my last one right there. She walked upstairs
before Carl went there with the pillow and
right, exactly.
I'm a sergeant in the Chicago PD. We'll never get booked for this crime.
Jalil's white contract had to expire, and somebody's salary had to go. And it was like, it's going to be, it was definitely Carl. Or the grandmother went up there and took, you sassy motherfucker. But like,
Mama, what'd you do? My baby.
So, yeah, that one was
no wonder he's pissed about Urkel coming over every day. It's like, I lost a daughter because of you.
Wait, side note. Now, remember, for anybody that doesn't know, Family Matters was a spinoff of Perfect Strangers. The mother worked the elevator at the news for the news, the Tribune, I think it was. I can't remember what paper it was supposed to be that they were working down in the mailroom or whatever. But the mother who sung the opening song for the Family Matters, she worked the elevator because back in the days, people, even when they had automated elevators, it was supposed to be like a sign of class in some buildings to still have a manual elevator operator. So that's where that character came from. So it was initially her show. And then they had a side character, who I'm sure was only supposed to come on there a few times, named Urkel, who stole the show. So the actress who played the mom was saying this year that Jalil White threatened to whoop her ass as a kid and told her, "Oh, it's time to knock you out like this." And you think about it, because you got to think about where he went. He went from being a bit player to the heart of TGIF, basically. Yeah. Right? From when we were talking about marketing, all right, talking about yeah, exactly.
Did I do that?
Dude, they talked about how they tried to fit that into everything. How many times can we fit? Did I do that into something? But yeah, I just want to add that.
Remember the promos back in the day? They would just like one show would be talking to the other. Did I do that? Did I do that? Did I do that?
Dude, oh my goodness, man. So anyway, that's it for this episode. We'll definitely be back around again. Great topics. Everybody, make sure that you take care of yourself. Happy belated Father's Day to the fathers in Juneteenth. I guess let's celebrate something they shouldn't have done in the first place. But anyway, we'll see you on the